Well, hello, everybody. I'm John McIlwain, CEO of Velos. Let me get this top button here. Thank you for having me here, Neil and Tim and Kathy. Whoop, am I bumping things around here? Velos is a software company focused on clinical research. We've been around longer than I care to admit, 20-some years. We focus primarily on supporting research sites. We offer a comprehensive software solution as described in that picture there. So we kind of do all things clinical research, particularly from a site and a site and sponsor integration perspective. We have about 54 customers, 55 actually as of yesterday. Just a university hospital just came on board. Well, a lot of academic medical centers, other research sites, CROs, and so forth. We have just 55 customers, but we have about 2,000 organizations that are part of our network. So these tend to be big groups that have lots of different researchers, constituencies, sites, about 30,000 people in our user network, about 35,000 research projects, and about 500,000 patients. So a large group. About half of NIH funding goes to Velos customers. So again, these are large academic medical centers, and about 30% for the NCI. So Kim and Kathy and Tim asked me to talk about quality in research from a systems perspective, and there are really three considerations. And the first is reuse. So reuse occurs in multiple ways. Kathy talked about common data elements. If we can have standardized ways of doing things across trials, registries, and be able to reuse things, that's important. And since our customers tend to do lots of trials, 10, 50, 100, 500 trials, the reuse aspect of how we support them is key. So for instance, creating libraries, being able to create one study and then inherit the properties of that study in another study, that's one type of reuse. And then also being able to support a whole variety of study types. So Kathy just reeled off a whole range of types of studies that need to be done, all of which have their nuances. So being able to reuse a single platform to be able to do that, I think, is why a company like us was fortunate to be selected to join the group here. And so I think the vision within the Focused Ultrasound Foundation is to be able to use a platform with, like Velos, with great partners like KAI, to be able to do this, have data that can be compared across lots of different registries and studies. Rick, from the previous presentation, talked about being able to do deep learning and other things. So if we can have a data set that's useful and comparable across studies, then we can do other things like that. So we're sort of the plumbing for all that. The second is security and audit trails. So there are lots of different organizations that participate in trials. We're doing a deployment up at Mayo Clinic right now, and they're like a country, they're like a roadmap of Cleveland. They have all these networks and sites and people that need to coordinate. And so being able to deal with that from an audit trail perspective, having permissions, so one site only sees their data, other sites see theirs, being able to then look back, so if there's a query, to see what happens. So all that kind of thing is a big part of what a system like ours needs to do. And then I think the third is affordability. Registries, it's expensive to do clinical trials, and so it's important to have an approach both from a software cost perspective as well as from a usability perspective that's affordable. Kathy had referred to the difficulty getting physicians on board, so a solution needs to be something that can be accessed. We're doing all this on the cloud. If you have just a password and a user ID and train a coordinator for an hour or two, that should all be all that it takes for most of the research that needs to be done. And so that's the third kind of thing we try to focus on, is make it very affordable, particularly from the standpoint of adoption, but also from the standpoint of the cost of the solution. Thank you.